cooling system on your vehicle is one of the more common failure mechanisms because, frankly, nobody maintains it. People have been trained by the OEMs over the years to change their oil and filter after X number of miles, but that isn't the case when it comes to maintaining things such as the transmission, the differential, the transfer case, and of course, the cooling system. In this episode, we'll get into the potential issues you could see in your cooling system and the proper maintenance requirements you should be following right here in the AMSOIL Garage.
This video is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Visit AMSOIL.com for more information.
Hey everyone, I'm Greg Jones for Engine Builder, and today we're talking about the proper maintenance for your coolant system. If you think about the cooling system, your coolant is glycol, water, and then some additive to protect the metallics in the system from the water that you put in there. If you run an iron block and you only put water in it, over time that water is going to rot your block pretty quickly. Therefore, you need additives to protect the metallics in your system. That said, water is proven to be the best heat transfer fluid you can use to shed heat from your engine. Glycol is there only for times in which temperatures fluctuate near freezing. Glycol is not as good of a heat transfer fluid as water is, but because OEMs don't know where you're going to drive next, they typically standardize on a 50-50 blend of glycol and water. Now, if you look at any OEM manual, your cooling system maintenance should be around 60 to 80,000 miles, and in some cases closer to 100,000 miles. You should be addressing your system somewhere between 60,000 and 100,000 miles, depending on the OEM. The reality is, nobody does it. Nobody. They just wait until a failure occurs, and then they fix the failure, or they don't even own the vehicle long enough to need to change the fluid. Typically, the failure is due to a gasket or elastomer material that gives out because there's not enough additive left in the system to help keep those gaskets and elastomers pliable and sealing. So they start leaking. You could get water pump leaks or head gasket leaks or something that causes the system to start puking coolant. Therefore, changing your coolant is a good thing for a multitude of reasons. It keeps your gasket materials fresh, which seal and keep coolant from getting into your engine. It also keeps engine oil from entering the cooling system, and it protects the metallics in today's engines, such as aluminum, cast iron, and other alloys. All of these metallics need to be protected. Now, older coolant technology had materials that would become depleted more quickly. They were often salt-based materials that had a finite life to them. When they were gone, they provided no protection. Therefore, the service interval used to be much shorter, something like every 30 to 40,000 miles, because that coolant would be shot at that point. Today's coolants are organic acid technologies, or some hybrid version of organic acids plus some old salt-based materials. Those have much longer service lives because organic acids don't deplete over time like the salt-based inorganic materials do. Today's coolants do a better job of protecting surfaces from corrosion so water doesn't affect it. But as you run your engine over and over and over, especially in hotter temperatures, and if any oxygen gets in, the glycol in your coolant degrades. Now, a good sealing system should, for the most part, keep oxygen out. Most vehicles have a pressure cap on the top of the radiator that's vented to an overflow, and that overflow can grow in volume or be reduced in volume depending on the pressure that's in the system. That is a mechanism for oxygen to get into the system, and there's nothing you can do or change about it. It's a design feature that makes sure the fluid level in the cooling system is where it should be. But regular operating temperatures of your vehicle, plus oxygen on top of that, degrades glycol in your coolant. This is bad because the byproducts of degraded glycol are highly acidic, and they will rot your cooling system out. No matter what kind of additive you have in there, you can only protect those metallics for so long until the pH gets to a level in the system where your protection goes away and issues start to occur. The bottom line is, every coolant has a finite life to it. With today's organic acid technology, it has a much longer life than it used to, but you still need to change that coolant at the appropriate maintenance intervals. Or you can send in a sample of your coolant for analysis to find out the status of its pH level, the glycol to water mixture ratio, whether you have byproducts of glycol degradation, or if there is any oil present, which is a sign of a possible gasket leak. You should be following your OEM manual when it comes to coolant or following the recommendation from the person you got the coolant from. Those service intervals are there to protect your car from issues due to time, heat, and regular operating environments that ultimately change aspects of your vehicle, including the coolant and the cooling system. The average age of a vehicle on the road today is between 12 and 13 years old. Those vehicles have well over 100,000 miles, meaning there's likely a huge population of vehicles that should be having fluid changes to their cooling system by now. Whether you do anything about it or not is up to you, but now you know why you should. I'm Greg Jones for Engine Builder, and thanks for joining me in the AMSOIL Garage.